Campaign Manager for the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Thank you to all of our Unity partners for joining us for the Black Women Leaders and Allies Speak Out today. The Speak Out is our call to action to demand Congress to pass federal voting rights, reproductive justice rights, gun safety, and economic justice legislation. The Unity Campaign is a nonpartisan, multi-state voter engagement and organizing effort that has built a broad coalition table with over 40 national and state partners. And our focus is to increase Black voter turnout and provide voter protection tools to ensure every vote is counted in the 2022 midterm elections. To learn more about our campaign, you can visit us at unitycampaign.org. Now, I would like to introduce our president and CEO and the visionary of Unity and the convener of Black Women's Roundtable and the ultimate coalition builder, Melanie Campbell.
Woo-hoo. Thank you, Q. All right, so you know how we get started. When our rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When our rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
And we stand up and fight back together. So let's say it that way. When our rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up and fight back together.
Let's try that one more time. When our rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up and fight together.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Q, Christina Q, for that introduction. And thank you, my sister Janice Mathis, my partner in all things powerful, Executive Director of National Council of Negro Women, who we've been partnering with the Black Women Leaders and Allies Coalition work for the past over a year now. A year ago, we were here, July 15th, is when we started on this fight around voting rights. And we moved to the fall, and we added, when they started attacking our reproductive rights, we partnered with our sisters in the reproductive justice and reproductive rights movement and came out here and stand in solidarity with them, and will continue that fight. And we knew it was going to happen, but it still was a gut punch. When these folks back here, 5 of them, decided that they want to make sure women don't have the right to control our own bodies. So we're back here today. Why are we here? Q mentioned that we've launched our National Unity 22 Black Voting and Power Building campaign, but we also are re-engaged on a summer of organizing and activism. And so we said we needed to come back to the scene of the crime. And what they're doing in the back of that building is a crime. And the fact that they also letting us know that they're going to go after LGBTQ plus rights. They're going to go after affirmative action. They're not going to stand up. They're going to change this democracy with a 5-4 vote and sometimes probably a 6-3 vote. So we're back here to say we will not be moved. We are going to continue to fight. We're going to organize. We're going to mobilize, and we're going to fight back. And guess what? We are the majority. Are we the majority? So that means we're going to stand up and we're going to fight back, and we're going to fight back together. I'm going to call on my sister Janice Mathis to give us invocation and remarks from the National Council of Negro Women.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you for your steadfast leadership, for your imagination, and for your courage. You are a walking example of the spirit that God has given us, not of fear, but of love, power, and of a very sound mind. Let us bow our heads. Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. We thank you for the freedom to speak our minds. We thank you for a system called democracy that we know empowers a majority. We thank you for giving us a majority vision. We thank you for the leadership skills that you have blessed us with. Now, give us courage, give us stamina, give us wisdom, and give us togetherness. We thank you for these blessings. Amen. Oh, remarks. Yeah, you know what I was thinking about? That line in Lift Every Voice and Sing, and everybody ought to know all the words to Lift Every Voice and Sing because it tells the story of our history. I think of the line that says, we've come to a place for which our fathers sighed. Now, to sigh means to yearn for, to hope for, to wish for. Who would have thought that we would have a black woman one heartbeat away from the presidency? Who would have thought? My grandmother could never have imagined that we would have a black woman sitting on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And it's easy to think about what we don't have. It's easy to think about the reproductive rights that are under attack, and they are. It's easy to think about voting rights that are being denied and suppressed, and we do. But we also have to count our blessings, and from those blessings, gain the strength that we need to keep the battle going. Surely our ancestors got tired. Surely Frederick Douglass got tired of whispering in Lincoln's ear. Surely Fannie Lou Hamer couldn't understand why she couldn't be seated in Chicago at the Democratic Convention. Surely Mary McLeod Bethune couldn't understand why Ku Klux Klan would ride by her school. But now she's ensconced in the Statuary Hall. The arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice, and it doesn't bend alone. It bends because we get up there and we push and we shove and we demonstrate and we sacrifice and we give money, and that's what bends the arc of history toward justice. So let's keep bending, my sisters. Or as Dr. Daly told me the other day, we got to beat the bushes for these voters. Beat the bushes. Go in the bushes, the hedges, and the highways, take off the high heels and the St. John and go where our people are and get them to come vote. God bless you, and it's a pleasure to be here. Janice Mathis, National Council of Negro Women.
All right, all right. And now we hear from somebody from way down south. Up south. And you came up south. So we're going to hear from our sister Deborah Scott, CEO, Georgia Stand Up State Partner for the National Coalition Unity Campaign through Black Women's Roundtable and Black You Vote. Following her is Daryl Coles, our Black You Vote National Project Assistant with the National Coalition. Deborah, then Daryl.
So, Melanie, you already said it, but we got to say it again. When our rights are under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. What do? Stand up, fight back. What do? Stand up, fight back. We are here from Georgia, from the home of good trouble, the home of stand up, and we're going to continue to stand up and fight back. Our lives, our votes, our bodies are under attack, and we will not lie down. We will continue to stand up. We will continue to vote. So it's on Supreme Court. It's on Congress. It's on Governor's Mansion. It's on President. We are ready. So we're going to stand up and fight back. When our rights are under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. What do? Stand up, fight back. Peace and love.
Hello, my beautiful brothers and sisters. My name is Daryl Coles, Project Assistant for Black You Vote at the National Coalition on Black Civic for Participation. Today, I stand before you to speak strictly to my brothers out here and watching from afar. I know there were a lot of unfulfilled promises after George Floyd's murder. George Floyd's murder at the knee of a racist cop shocked the world, as did the mangled face and body of Emmett Till and the brutalization of those who sought to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, and racially the mass shooting in a supermarket in Buffalo. And the list goes on. Unfortunately, those images are often fade until the next incident and the guilt factor is again reignited. We should not and will not continue down this path. Although some politicians have pledged to make changes in our laws and reform a broken criminal justice system and help advance democracy, we are still experiencing the same problems today. I'm here to reassure my brothers out there that our votes matter. Our votes can ensure that reasonable people are elected into the office who can not only direct our government into being fair and just, but also listen to their constituents, the voters who elected them, and overall the community. We need and we will hold every elected official accountable to their promises. Voting isn't the only tool to make change, but it's one of the most important in this country. To the point now that, they out here trying to, it's illegal now to pass out water at voting sites. It's a war going on. It's a war going on. The enemy's desperate, but we must keep fighting, and Black Youth Vote will keep fighting. Remember, I want you all to remember, our vote is our power. Blessings, brothers and sisters, and thank you.
Yeah, did I? Yes. So next we'll hear from Dr. Joe Grant, COO, National Black Caucus of State Legislators. Following him, Marquez Ball, who's the Religious Affairs liaison with the National Action Network. He's wearing two hats because, it's that kind of movement. And he's also Vice President of Prince George's County 100 Black Men of America. Come on up, Dr. Grant and our brother Marquez.
Thank you, Melanie, Janice, all of you who are here and engaged in the struggle. As mentioned, I'm Joe Grant. It's important that I bring you greetings from my leadership. President of the NBCSL organization, Representative Billy Mitchell from Georgia, our President-elect, Representative Laura Hall from Alabama, our CEO, Paula Hoisington, and all of the Black state legislators across the country. It's an honor to join you in this Speak Out rally, to re-engage ourselves, the White House, and Congress in what is going to be a significant battle to restore and protect voting rights. Members of NBCSL have stood in the gap, literally. We have been the buffer between suppressive voter rights legislation and trying to protect what we have gained over 50 years of struggle since the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act passed. I am of the generation that can remember what it was like to live in a pre-voting rights environment, where states did whatever they wanted to do in an effort to suppress your opportunity to participate in government and, by extension, in decision-making of public policy that affects all of us. It is really, really important that we all understand that this is a challenge. It's a challenge that we have to gird our loins and be prepared to address. It is not going to go away, and we cannot let it go away, for our future depends on this. The future of our children and my two grandsons depend on what we do here today and in the very near future. I am reminded of the old protest march hymn that goes something like, "Ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. Turn us around, turn us around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. Keep on marching, marching on to freedom land." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clark. I am Marquez Ball. Again, I'm honored to represent two amazing organizations today. So I'll bring you greetings on behalf of National Action Network and Reverend Al Sharpton, as well as the 100 Black Men of America and our chairman, Thomas Dortch. I was raised in a little country area called Angie, Louisiana. When I say country, y'all, I didn't have central heat. I chopped wood to stay warm. I killed animals to eat. I can remember, as one who has not been blessed to be so tall, there were some kids in my neighborhood in the little country area who would at times try to pressure me and try to bully me. And I found myself being quiet and shy and timid. But my grandmother, the old country woman, my grandma looked at me and she said, "Baby, don't you let nobody shut you up. Whenever you find that someone is trying to silence you, it is your responsibility to stand up and to fight back." I find now we're in a situation where there are some people who are trying to silence those who look like me. I find myself in a situation now where there are those who are trying to limit the voice and the power of and influence of those who look like me, those who are my age, those who've been kissed by the nature's sun. And I remember the words of my grandmother saying, "Baby, don't you let nobody keep you quiet. Stand up and fight back." I'm honored because I'm a part of the 100 Black Men of America, and we are an organization that is daring to stand up and to fight back. Our organization has made it a mandate to make sure that we mobilize men to get us not to just register to vote, but to show up and vote. So we're making sure that each of our chapter has a mobilization effort to organize both our mentors and our mentees and their families to show up at the polls. The truth of the matter is, if we don't do this right now, it will be harder for future generations. It is our moment to stand. This is our moment to be heard. This is our moment to fight back. Not only that, I'm honored to represent National Action Network. We are serious about living out the King legacy. Reverend Al Sharpton impresses this up on us in our weekly staff calls to make sure that we are living out the King legacy. So part of what we want to do there is make sure that not only are we getting out to vote, but that we are also making sure we protect our citizens with common sense gun laws. This is not something that we can overlook. I personally do not want to put another hashtag. I do not want to see another school being shot up. I want my own child feeling safe when they go to an elementary school. I can remember seeing an Instagram photo the other day that showed a teacher with a mask, with books, with an AR-15, and with all kind of rules. We are asking too much of the teachers when the truth of the matter is it's those who are in the halls of Congress who can make a decision to help protect our young people. So on behalf of National Action Network and the 100 Black Men, I'm encouraging all of us to stand up, fight back, and make sure that our voices are heard. God bless.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, thank you. Stand up, fight back. Next, we have Marcus Batchelor, Deputy Director of Leadership Programs, People for the American Way. And this segment has really been talking about power. Can we say power? Power. Rights. Freedom. Safety. Say it again. Power. Rights. Freedom. Safety. Thank you. And our last speaker for this segment is Marcus Batchelor. Marcus.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. And I want to thank everybody who's joined us out here and who's watching live. I'm so excited to be here as Deputy Director of People for the American Way, an incredible 40-year-old organization doing work with hundreds of thousands of folks across the country, thousands of young elected officials at all levels of government, thousands of faith-based leaders and Black clergy who, just like us, are ready all around the country to stand up and fight back. I'm also proud as the grandson of a 96-year-old woman born into Jim Crow, who didn't have the right to vote because of either her race or her gender, or because she lived in the nation's capital, was not able to vote until she was over 40 years old. I stand here as the son of a home health aide who also was an early child care developer who still doesn't have access to union protections and the type of work with dignity that all people deserve. but I also stand here as a benefactor of their struggle, a benefactor of their work, and understanding that now all of that progress, all of that hard-fought progress is on the line now more than ever. And it would be derelict for their work, for their sacrifice, for me not to be here and stand with other powerful black women who are doing that work as well. But I'll say I'm not just here for solidarity, because I also know that I'm here for a few selfish reasons too, because I know that what's good for black women is good for America. What's good for black women is good for black men. What's good for black women is good for black children. And so if we are not here to stand with black women whose rights are under attack, we are not standing in solidarity with all of the communities that need our support the most. And so when we say we're going to stand up and fight back, we will. We'll stand up and fight back to secure our institutions, to save our court, to right-size our electoral system, to make sure folks have access to the ballot. When we say we'll stand up and fight back, it means that we're going to stand together to make sure that we fight the everyday crime happening in our streets, but also make sure we don't get victimized by the people who we call when we need help in the first place. We're going to stand up and fight back to make sure that reproductive health, reproductive rights, reproductive justice is not just something that lasts for 1 or 2 generations, but something that every American forever will be able to count on. Every childbearing woman, every childbearing person in this country will be able to count on it. And we are saying we'll stand up and fight back to make sure that this democracy becomes, this country becomes what it always was supposed to be, a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-gender democracy where all of us have the rights and freedoms and access and power that we need to secure our destiny. So thank you so much, and I'm here to fight with you.
Thank you. All right. So I was joking. We got one more, right? We have one more in this category, and definitely would not want to miss my sister in the movement, a sister who's not afraid to go to jail. I'm sister who show up at a drop of a dime, like all of you actually, but I want to also give her a shout out because she went to jail with us too. So Virginia, and a whole lot of other organizations. So Virginia Solomon, President and CEO, League of Women Voters USA.
Thanks, Mel. You know I love you, and I'll go to jail with you any day,
We're not
sister.
going
No, not today. I have to go on vacation next week. Good afternoon. My name is Virginia K. Solomon. I'm the CEO of the League of Women Voters of the United States. And the League stands in solidarity once again with the Black Women's Roundtable, the National Council on Black Civic Participation, and the Black women leaders here in this movement. And I am so grateful. It seems like every summer we have to come out here and remind folks that we're not going anywhere. We are going to continue to be here. We will continue to show up, and we are going to continue to speak up. We know that there are power-hungry politicians who are doing everything in their power to keep Black and brown people from voting on Election Day. They've reduced polling locations, instituted unfair voter ID laws, and limits to casting a ballot, and these are all tactics to keep us from exercising our right to vote. But they're not new. They are not new. They know exactly what they're doing, and they are playing by the same old playbook they've been using forever. But guess what? We got to trick up our sleeves because we won't be fooled, and we have a new playbook, and that is voting by any means necessary. And when I say any means necessary, every time they create an obstacle, we will find a way around it. They are not going to deter us. And so we are here to tell our brothers and sisters all throughout this country that we are here. We are here to make sure that you have what you need to make sure that you can cast your ballot. And we know that we are going to continue this fight. We stand with you, we stand alongside you, and in times when we need to, we will stand in front of you, behind you, as we need to make sure that you have access to the ballot. Mel, everyone here, thank you all so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our sister Janice Mathis to go to the next segment.
Thank you, Melanie. It's entirely appropriate that we would be standing in front of the Supreme Court as we go into this next section on reproductive rights and women's rights, because probably the most important thing that a president does is appoint justices to the United States Supreme Court. It is certainly the most lasting thing. It's the most enduring thing. It's the thing of which legacies are made. And elections have consequences. And when this nation elected the previous president to the presidency, we signed up for voter suppression. We signed up for suppression of women's rights. We signed up to be repressed and to be discriminated against. Well, as a group we did. Some of us signed up to stand up and fight back. But at this point, it gives me great privilege to introduce Mimi Timarahu, president of NARAL, an organization that's been in the struggle for reproductive rights a good long time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Very appreciative of the work that all of you are leading. Thank you, Melanie. Look, she summed it up. We're standing in front of a court. We can question its legitimacy, but we're standing in front of a court that just stripped a fundamental constitutional freedom from the majority of Americans, and we're not going to stand for it. So I'm grateful for this group, this coalition of folks coming together today to make a clear alignment and a line between all our issues: power, voting rights, democracy, the erosion of our democracy, and how it led us to this moment. It led us to this moment where our fundamental ability to how and when to decide when to start a family is under threat and is under attack. So I'm deeply, deeply grateful to be part of this movement, to be part of this coalition. I'm incredibly aware of how this disproportionately affects women of color, more specifically Black women in places like the Deep South. And we have to be centering those voices. We have to be centering those stories to really get at the equity issues and access to reproductive care. So on behalf of NARAL, Pro-Choice America, grateful to be here, grateful to be part of it. And I just want to remind y'all, 8 out of 10 Americans support legal access to abortion and reproductive rights. 8 out of 10 Americans. What does that mean? We are the majority, right? We are the majority, and it's time for us to act like it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are the majority. And now we want to bring up Kimberly Robinson. I would say she's my soror. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Social Action Commission. Kimberly, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone, as we stand here so we can stand up and fight back together. As you heard, my name is Kimberly Robinson. I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta's National Social Action Commission, where I have the pleasure of serving alongside Melanie Campbell and Janice Mathis. I'm here on behalf of our national president, Elsie Cook Holmes, and the 300,000 members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority across this country and around the world. There is no better coalition builder than Melanie Campbell, and we are proud to be part of this coalition standing up for voting rights in this country. Know how important it is to get every voter to the polls. The 950 chapters of Delta Sigma Theta are dedicated, are committed, and are mobilizing to ensure that we are getting voters registered, educated, to the polls, and we are fighting to protect their votes on Election Day. We have watched as Jim Crow-esque anti-voting laws have been passed across the country, but as you heard previously, we will find a way to overcome every hurdle that is placed in our way. We will be smarter, we will be swifter, and we will make sure that our voices are heard. In 1913, the first act of Delta Sigma Theta was standing up for women's suffrage. And it is amazing to think that 109 years later, we are still called to be in the fight for voting rights in this country. But we are here, we will not be turned around, and we will make sure that we are engaging in every corner of this country. We're going to stand up for criminal justice reform. We're going to stand up to ensure the right to choose. We are going to stand up to fight against crippling student loan debt. We're going to fight against every policy issue that is detrimental to the Black community and ultimately detrimental to the progress of this country. Thank you so much for the opportunity to stand here in coalition with you today. This coalition is going to make a difference. You'll see us in November, and you'll see the difference we make. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimmy. We appreciate that. And now we want to call on Jennifer Tucker, Consultant Senior Policy Analyst for the ERA Coalition.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Janice. It's great to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. And greetings from the ERA Coalition. Last week, I received an email from one of our members who asked me, What can we do to demand elected officials respect the loss of reproductive rights? And I wrote back, row, as in R-O-E, row your boat. Your vote, up and down the ballot. Even if it's dog catcher, treat that vote with the same seriousness that you are voting for your member of Congress, your senator, your governor, your city council, your mayor, because that's how folks get started. And before you know it, they are in the state legislature with these anti-black women, anti-black men, anti-black people, anti-human rights, anti-abortion rights, anti-immigration, you name it, anti-laws, anti-democracy laws. I'm here today representing our president and CEO, Sakia Thomas, who sends her greetings. And she also asked me to remind you to join with the ERA Coalition as we launch our our Elect Equality program today. We are certifying candidates as elect equality candidates. And what does that mean? Candidates who support the Equal Rights Amendment. The Equal Rights Amendment saying that no person shall be discriminated against by the U.S. Government or state governments on the basis of sex. We will continue to introduce these candidates throughout the rest of the mid-election season. We ask you to vote to stand with us for these candidates who've pledged to support the ERA. Because when they support the ERA, they are supporting equality, and we're vetting them so that we know that they support more than just that issue that we care about. We're standing with all of you to make sure that they are standing with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate it. And now we want to move on with our women's rights and reproductive justice agenda with Amaya Smith, Vice President, Marketing and Communication, National Partnership for Women and Families, and immediately following her, Amanda Learman, Supermajority Executive Director.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's so good to be here with all of you all. I feel like my soror Deborah Scott left all the shout on the floor, so I'm not going to try to follow that. But again, my name is Amaya Smith, and I am representing the National Partnership for Women and Families, a 50-year-old women's legacy organization helmed by our president Jocelyn Fry, who is the first Black woman to lead this 50-year-old white feminist organization. So we are still making changes in our movement, as you all see. And anybody, I see a lot of my colleagues from the women's movement here. It's so good to see you all. It has been a rough few months for us in the women's movement. I think, like many of you all, I've been to a lot of rallies. I've heard a lot of speeches. I've felt all the feelings. I've felt discouraged, confused, sort of not sure which way we were going as a movement. And then I got on Melanie's call on Monday. And I was like, somebody is organizing us. Thank you. And so many folks I saw on there just ready to mobilize our people, ready to get out the vote, ready to mobilize and not just mobilize, but also educate folks on our actual issues, which I think is the key. We've got to teach voters what the issues are before they go to the polls. And so I feel invigorized. I feel more optimistic. I wouldn't want to be standing anywhere else if I'm going to go into battle. I want these to be my troops. And so I am glad to be here with you. I want to shout out to Christina Q because people often don't shout out the logistics person. Thank you for getting us here. Christine and I worked in South Carolina to help elect Barack Obama, the first black president, and we are still working because, as we know, that was not the end. But on behalf of the National Partnership, we're so excited to commit to this campaign and join you all in hitting the streets and making the change that we need in November. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful. Ms. Learman.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
It is true. It is this, exactly this. A whole lot of women and a whole lot of black women that make democracy grow around. Black women in particular have been on the front lines. They have been the greatest champions of our democracy. And if I'm being honest, the greatest defenders of our democracy, time and time again, election year and election day after election day. My name is Amanda Brown Learman, and I stand on the shoulders of giants, union workers, educators, breast cancer survivors. I also am coming here today as the mom of 3 little girls who I will be damned if they have fewer rights than I do. I am the executive director of Supermajority. It is a women's equality organization that brings women together across age, across race, across background to build our political power in pursuit of the justice that we all demand. We believe that a world where our lives are safe, our bodies are respected, our work is valued, our families are supported, and our government represents us is possible. And we dare to dream and make that vision a reality and organize to make that vision a reality every single day. We are working to build a women's voting bloc because the truth is that they might be able to ignore our primal screams, but they cannot ignore our votes. We are the supermajority, and we are the people, the people that we elect into positions of power should never, ever, ever doubt, or worse, dismiss the power that we hold. At Supermajority, we center the lived experiences and liberation of all women. If you believe in the majority rules and you believe in that better vision, then you are a part of the supermajority. Because our superpower is actually in our coalition. That's why when Melanie calls, we all come running. The opposition tries to divide and conquer. That's been their strategy for years, to focus us on the distractions. But when we realize that our fights are connected, our fights are intertwined, spoiler alert, that is also how we win. We win on abortion justice, on racial justice, on voting rights, on disability justice, on climate justice, on all of the things that we are fighting for every single day. Because when our feminism is inclusive, we win. I'm going to say that one more time. When our feminism is inclusive, we win, and we are bending the arc towards justice that much more. I'm going to share the mic actually with my colleague Jara Butler, who is my partner in crime and hope and all things good.
Thank you, Amanda. My name is Jara Butler. I'm the Chief Impact Officer at Supermajority. I'd like to say I am the supermajority. All right. I'm here because in coalition, they can't stop us. But more importantly, I have anger, but it's righteous anger. It's righteous because I know that democracy belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to the select few. Sometimes they have to be reminded, but this government, this land that we're standing on, that building back there is ours. It is ours. And I am standing here as the 3rd generation of Black women who were held in bondage. And my grandmother used to say every time something would happen, my grandmother was born before women had a right to vote. She was born with Jim Crow. She knew Jim Crow more than she knew freedom. And her mother was born enslaved right over the bridge there in Virginia. But I'm here. And as long as I am here, I am going to fight because my grandmother used to tell me every day, what are you going to do about it? Every generation is called to do something. We are called to hold this country accountable to the promise that they did not intend for us, but it was meant for us anyway, which is that this is a government for the people, by the people, and about the people. So you're not going to take my votes away. I'm going to fight. If I have to crawl to the poll, I'm going to crawl. But I'm going to bring 3 or 4 people with me because that's what I do. It's not enough for one. So we need to bring everyone we know. We need to talk to folks. But more importantly, we need to remind folks that democracy is not a spectator sport. We all have a role to play. And as part of the supermajority, our commitment is we are committed to organizing 2.5 million women across 5 states. So I want to know who's with me. Who's with me? Who is ready to carry the banner of the women who came before us? Diane Nash, Fannie Lou Hamer, Coretta Scott King, because there was MLK, but she was there too. Who's willing to walk with me, and who's willing to go and take folks to the polls and to push back against this? Because our rights are no longer under attack. It's here. So now it's time for us to fight like our lives depend on it, because they do, and hold the line like our ancestors did. Because if they can do it, we can do it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we want to move into a part of the program that is economic justice. I think we did. I think we're right here. Oh, you want to do that? There you go. So you want to close that up? Well, we think that's the end of our reproductive justice segment. And now we will proceed to economic justice, because you can't have reproductive justice without economic wherewithal.
Thank you. All right. Are we ready to fight?
Yeah.
Are we ready to win? Are we ready to fight? Are we ready to win? And so now, as we've talked about, we've gone from talking about power, rights, freedom, safety. Now we want to talk about justice. We're not getting it from that place, but we have the power to change that. Do we have the power to change that? Yes. So let's move into economic justice and environmental justice. We will hear from Darielle Rodriguez, Deputy Chief Counsel, Economic Justice, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. Following her will be Carol Jonah, Director, Labor Project for Working Families. Following her, Felicia Davis, Executive Director of HBCU Green Fund and also convener of the Clayton County, Georgia Black Women's Roundtable, and Myra Macias. Thank you, Myra. Okay, Myra Macias, Chief Strategy Officer, Building Back Together. Darielle, Carol, Felicia, Myra.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Darielle Rodriguez, Deputy Chief Counsel at the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. I'm here on behalf of our fearless President and Executive Director, Damon Hewitt, who could not be here with us today. First, thank you to Melanie Campbell and her incredible team for organizing us. At the Lawyers Committee, we fight for a day when Black life, Black votes, Black safety, and Black redemption are equally valued. But we are faced with a reality that racism is permanent, at least in our lifetimes. The struggle for Black people has long been a struggle for self-determination. We have to introduce a new moral clarity. At the Lawyers Committee, we push for moral clarity in a different way, appealing to the nation's conscience about correcting injustice, but also providing all of the things that we all deserve. For too many people in this country, these rights ring hollow. The promises of democracy are an illusion. In fact, we believe that these promises and the very principles of our democracy are under a full-fledged attack. The attack is here. This Supreme Court has shown little disregard for the established precedent and is not shy about taking away fundamental rights that have long been in place. Most recently, the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision eviscerated decades of precedent, moving economic freedom completely out of reach for thousands of women and disproportionately impacting Black women, further cementing structural inequities into the fabric of American society. Abortion access is a fundamental economic and racial justice issue. I'll say it again. Abortion access is a fundamental economic and racial justice issue. It's deeply intertwined with other social justice issues that are so critical to our daily lives. For many women, choice is not only a matter of bodily autonomy, but is also one of self-determination. We know that the Dobbs decision presents new challenges, related to criminal justice, workers' rights, data privacy that require us to work across issue areas to identify effective ways to prevent further harms. The opinion is indicative of the current broader culture war and signals a shift from acceptance of people with diverse identities to outright hostility towards those who do not share the identities of those on the majority of this court. We know that at least one justice stands ready to revoke other important constitutional protections, such as gay marriage and the ability to access birth control. And we stand ready to fight alongside our allies and partners to protect these rights. Many states have now moved to criminalize abortion, and women will face increased policing and surveillance of their bodies. We also need comprehensive voting rights legislation to address the recent attacks on communities of color. As long as there have been elections in this country, there has been racial discrimination in voting. At the Lawyers Committee, we urge Congress to take comprehensive action to protect the access to abortion care and to protect access to voting. We are ready to fight with all of our colleagues and friends here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everybody, for having me today. I'm Carol Joyner, Executive Director of Family Values at Work Action and leader at Labor Project for Working Families. And I stand on the shoulders of so many women, some of them here. I'm so grateful that Mel Campbell from Black Women's Roundtable and Janice Matheson from National Council on Legal Women are keeping this fight going. We've been out here for a year and a half, first on voting rights. Maybe it was a year because it was in the boiling heat last year this time. We've been out here on voting rights. We've been out here on Build Back Better. We've been out here on civil liberties, on paid leave, certainly on abortion rights. And we're out here again today. We are not going anywhere because we understand clearly that when we fight, we win. 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 Yes, our network partners around the country are in the streets right now, registering people to vote, turning out the vote, doing deep canvassing, making sure that everyone gets the stakes that we're up against in this election. And they are not going home until November 9th. They're not going home until we secure the vote. They're not going home until we have the right to choose. They're not going home until we have access to care. They're at doors talking about care, the ability and the economic consequences that happen when people don't have the right to care, when they have to go to work instead of say goodbye to their parents who are dying, when they have to go back to work 2 weeks after they've had a child, leaving that child basically alone or with relatives, but someone other than the mother or the father. They're out there fighting and talking about climate change, and they're using and identifying the care voter narrative. They're asking care voters to vote for care, but they're also asking voters to vote for reproductive justice. They're asking voters to vote for responsible climate change mitigation policies. They're asking voters to vote to make sure that people have access to choose when, where, and how they want to have a child. And they're out there voting, asking people to vote to make sure that the people who are in the House and the Senate get our demands. Black women have been in the forefront of this fight for generations. I have to tell you a little story. When I was in my 20s, I got on the mini bus rides from New York City down to DC with my mother, who was an AFSCME member, a proud union sister. And AFSCME at $11.99, and folks used to send the buses down to DC for the many reproductive rights marches, pro-choice marches that were going on in the 80s. And on one of those bus rides, my mom confided in me that she had had an abortion. She had 5 children. Before she had one, she had an abortion. She was just out of college. She had the worries of economic situation ahead of her, a new person in a new state, and she made that decision in a very, very difficult time when she didn't know what the outcome would be, when abortion was not legal. And she recognized that many of her friends had made the same choice as well. I held that for many years because I understood of the gravity of that decision for my mom. But I get it today as we witness the demolition of our rights in real time, as we watch the Supreme Court roll back more than 50 years of precedent that women and people who have children, can have children, should have reproductive health and the right to decide when they have that child. So our care voters all over this country are standing up for care, they're standing up for economic justice, and they're standing up for all that we believe in our democracy. And as they foment a coup while we sleep, be clear that we understand when we fight, we win. 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 Thank you.
So greetings, everyone. So it's kind of hot out here. Would everybody agree? No, it's getting hot, and it's getting hotter. Speaking on behalf of the environmental justice community and those of us that have been working for decades around climate justice, right? It's not just hot here. It's hot everywhere. Okay, when it's hot like this here, people die. So I'm stepping forward to say I'm pro-life. I just happen to be pro-life for giraffes. I'm pro-life for antelope. I'm pro-life for fish. And I'm sure enough pro-life for black folks. And unless we deal with this, which we came protesting, Melanie, all that time. We didn't need any fences, did we? We came, we stated our case. But now I've decided, number one, we're the majority. Number two, we don't have much more room on the t-shirt, okay? We keep adding issues, right? And then I thought about it. We keep letting some other folks decide, right? Not your decision to make. Not your decision to make. If you can't produce one, shut up. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. No offense. So from the environmental justice community, from a red state, I come to D.C. and I wonder how I could live in Georgia. It's good here. I'm not saying great, Chance Mathis, but Georgia is a challenge. So when we talk about organizing, what I want people to know that are not here, so I'm looking in the camera, where are you? Yes, we have to register. Yes, we have to knock on doors. Yes, we have to send text messages, tweets, and be on social media. But we got to show up like this. We've got to hit the streets. We got to beat the pavement. We got to draw folks on that are easing by, don't know quite where they stand. We got to help them to figure it out. Because we are pro-life, pro-the living, pro-10-year-old girls. Not being raped first, safety. And certainly not having to give birth, endanger their own life to try to bring forth a life not ready for life. Please, no, right? So that's who we are. And I just share with everyone, you know that story? They came for me in the morning. And you thought you were good. And I don't care who you voted for. If they come for me in the morning, look out. They're headed for you. But we got your back. So join us. Whatever the thing, we're looking for a conversation. But climate change is real. And they couldn't even eat. And when you can't decide between good and bad, please, give up the seat.
All right, Felicia Davis.
Thank you so much, Melanie, the Black Women Leaders and Allies Coalition. And for those watching, this is for the allies. My name is Myra Macias. I am the Chief Strategy Officer of Building Back Together. I am a benefactor of the work that Black women have done. I am the daughter of immigrants. I am the daughter of union workers. And again, this goes to the allies. We need to step up. We need to be here in the trenches with Black women because our democracy is at stake. Because of this coalition, we were able to accomplish a lot, but there's still so much progress left to be accomplished. And I remember meeting with Melanie and this very coalition that was responsible for ensuring that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson became the first Black woman seated in the U.S. Supreme Court. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, Building Back Together is an issue advocacy organization that advances the Biden-Harris agenda. And it's so important to be here today with you all because you all have pushed us, have ensured and supported the Biden-Harris administration to make progress. I want to share a little bit about the things that have already happened. As we're fighting to continue to build on that progress, it's important to celebrate the wins that we've already made. We talked about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, but that's not it. We also had President Biden take executive order to make sure that all of his administration, including the different agencies, are advancing and promoting voting rights. His Department of Justice doubled the funding and support for voting right protection, and that's because of the work that this group has done to make sure that voting rights are top of mind. That's not it. We also ensured that through the American Rescue Plan, which many of you fought for, and under the oversight of President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, 9 million jobs have been created. And we don't talk about that, right? We don't talk about 9 million jobs being created, and we need to. That is the most in a president's first year history. 9 million jobs created. The American Rescue Plan made sure that small businesses were able to stay open, made sure that schools were able to open so that children could go back to in-person learning, made sure that parents had cash to make sure that they could buy books or put food on the table, all because of the work this coalition and our broader coalition is doing to build upon the progress. Unfortunately, as has already been stated, the Supreme Court dangerously overturned Roe. And when that happened, because of the advocacy of this group and many others, the president acted and he ensured that very swiftly we are protecting the access to medication abortion. We're protecting the access to contraception, which don't be fooled, y'all, we have to protect that access. We're protecting the access for folks to cross state lines and get the health care they deserve and they need. But what we need now is Congress to act. And I'm going to be really specific when I say we need Congress to act. We need the MAGA extremists to stop obstructing progress. For those of you who are, we need the MAGA extremists to stop obstructing progress. For those of you who are following legislative votes, time and time again, these MAGA extremists are voting against progress. We just had the most comprehensive gun safety legislation signed in a law not but a couple weeks ago. And now MAGA extremists are against the assault ban of weapons. They're against protecting reproductive rights. In fact, they're pushing to ban all abortion without exceptions of incest and or rape. And so I'm grateful to be here with you all because there's work to do. You all are pushing the broader coalition to do this work, but we need these MAGA extremists to stop obstructing progress. And when we're in this together, we win. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our last speaker is Janae Roscoe, Senior Vice President, Government Relations, Public Policy, Operation Hope. Say Operation Hope.
I am a proud member of the Black Women's Roundtable. Thank you, Melanie and Felicia, for inviting me to be a part of this. Right now, the financial federal regulatory agencies are calling for public comments as it pertains to community reinvestment. It's been over 40 years, close to 50, that we're focused on putting access to capital opportunities back in the hands of the communities and grassroots institutions that are helping people who are unbanked, underbanked, and low wealth have greater access to the needs that they need for their futures. And women are a large component in all three of those categories. So when we're talking about women's justice and economic justice, we're really talking about women who are living paycheck to paycheck, women who are trying to figure out how to take care of their families, their selves, and their souls. And so this is a broader issue. It's more than just women's rights. It's economic rights and environmental rights. And right now, as we're dealing with community reinvestment for the first time due to climate change challenges, the American people have spoken up and said that there needs to be more focus around economic justice with environmental justice. So we're really excited. We're encouraging public comments to come out and put the word out that community reinvestment is community reinvestment for women's rights, women's justice, and environmental rights. Thank you for having us.
Yay, thank you. This girl been, and she's also come out of the labor movement too. Yes, so she's been in the movement for a long time and been pushing the pain, pushing it around economic justice, and not just also justice, but also equity and opportunity. So we can not just survive, but what? Thrive. It's my sister Janice. We're coming to a close. We're going to have a couple of closing remarks. And then, Christina, I want you to tell people at the end how they can get involved.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming out today on behalf of Dr. Thelma Daly and the 330 chapters of NCNW scattered all across the United States. We are proud and pleased to be part of this coalition. We are the majority. We are the majority. Every time what is democracy made out of, really? Democracy is really equal parts majority rule, a little bit of due process, a little bit of equal protection, and that's how you get democracy. Now, we're facing demographic changes in this country, and so the folk who used to assume that they won in a democratic system now don't feel so secure about winning. And so rather than lose, say, well, let's get rid of democracy. It's that simple. But it's our turn now. And I want to reassure our brethren and sisters of every political persuasion. You've not seen how good government can be until you let these talented black and brown folk lead you. You look at the congressman from Mississippi as he leads the January 6th committee. You look at Maxine Waters over finance. You look at David Scott over agriculture. And you see talent. You see commitment. But most of all, you see patriotism. If we can love this country with all of its faults and all of its failures, the country is in good hands with us. Good hands with us.
Thank you, Sister Janice, National Council of Negro Women. I want to thank our national team, my sister who will come up at the end, Christina, Antoinette, Daryl, Angelo, Lon, Tanya, and Delisa. So you can't do this without, we say we're a small army, but we get it done. And so all has been said, but I do want to close out just to say and talk to the folks who hopefully are still watching, or if you didn't watch it live, watch it later. And I do want to just say this, I didn't say it at the beginning, and we are truly, and I've said this and in my spirit, and I've heard it from others too, that we are truly, and I'm speaking to our young people who you have the power. You have the numbers bigger than my generation. And they're coming for you so that you will be frustrated and say, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. You heard it today. You have the power. You have the numbers. They want you to sit this election out. Don't be bamboozled. Don't be confused. Own your power. We are in the midst of a 21st century civil war. Yes, I'm going to say it again. A 21st century civil war. What am I talking about? They are moving from the fact that as black people in this country, we had to have federal intervention to protect our rights. So this building back here, this rogue Supreme Court back here has decided it's time to go back to states' rights. So you have to decide as young people, who's on the ballot? It's not who's at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. If you're upset with the current administration, they run if they decide to run in 2024. We're in 2022. And all the things that you risk your life for, and all of us risked our life for in 2020, to come out and turn out and vote, we still can win. But you have to believe it. You have to own it. You have to organize all of your folks on your block, in your corner, on your social media page, everywhere. Organize. They can't beat us if we organize. If you listen to what the mess they're talking, Russia and people in the domestic side have never stopped targeting you. They targeted you so you could get frustrated. What am I talking about? Social media. They call it misinformation, disinformation. I just call it bold-faced lies to you to tell you you don't have the power. So we're going to tell our young people all over this country, can you say, let's say, we are going to be united. We are going to be united. We are determined. We are determined. We're owning our power. We're owning our power. We're going to fight and win on our rights. We're going to fight and win on our freedoms. We're going to fight and win on justice for everybody. And we have the power, because even though they're messing with us, we still have the power to organize, mobilize, fight, and vote. So I'm going to turn it over to our sister, Christina Q, our National Unity 22 campaign manager, to tell folks out there how they can get involved with our Unity 22 national campaign and get involved in the organizing that we'll be doing, and a lot of our organizations will be doing, and we're working in coalition. We're working in coalition. And so it's not just the national coalition, it's everybody. And we're going to support each other because we're going to win. Christina?
Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you so much. And just a reminder, our vote is our power. Say it with me. Our vote is our power. And so Unity Campaign, we have a launch. We have a whole bunch of activities this week. We'll be doing texting and phone banking in Ohio and Michigan. They have a primary coming up on August 2nd. So we'll send you information from our website about how you can join that. And then we also have a Brothers Can We Talk conversation and our HBCU Community Challenge. So look for more information on our website at unitycampaign.org. Thank you so much. And our vote is our power. Thank you so much.
And thank you to Roland Martin, Unfiltered. Thank you to ACT TV for being our whenever we call on you, y'all show up so we can get this message off of this block and into the community. Thank you so much.